Suguru Geto has always been regarded as one of the most powerful characters in Jujutsu Kaisen, and he just always will be. He was the only person comparable to Suguru Geto. He was a character who gave Yuta a run for his money to get him to awaken his ultimate power, and he's always held one of the strongest curse techniques. But as of Season 2, his abilities have actually expanded, to the point that the anime actually gave him what appears to be a brand new ability. But where we see it and why it's important is a bit interesting to explain. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, technically, we've seen some expansions and changes in Jujutsu Kaisen's latest season, and I do have a video coming up all about those, but today we're talking about one change in particular. This change is actually an addition that we have gotten with this new season, and it's specifically all based around Geto. It's actually a new ability that has been given to him. Now, technically the first time we see this is actually straight up in episode 1, I think, but really the beginning of 2. And that's where we see Geto shoot out his octopi. I'm going to call them fly heads. They're clearly not really curses. And he uses them to shatter glass so he can go get Riko, Amanai, as she's falling out of the skyscraper. Now, that in of itself isn't terribly surprising. We've seen him fling curses at plenty of people throughout the series, but the speed and force at which he did it was impressive in this instance. Little did I realize what we were essentially going to be getting was actually an all-new ability for him. And we really see this in episode 4. This is because we see him use this against Toji. In the Star Temple, when he battles against Toji, Geto gets to unleash a broad spectrum of abilities. He uses the two that he uses in the manga, the Rainbow Dragon and the Cursed Spirit with the Scissors, which is incredibly creepy. But he also gets to unleash a couple of extra things as well. One of them is we get to see that weird Cyclops-looking Cursed Spirit unleashed here. He doesn't have that in the manga, but there's no reason he wouldn't necessarily have it here, so that's pretty cool. But what I'm really talking about is he has the Gate of Babylon from Fate. Yeah. And what I mean by that is that he has now the ability to shoot tiny cursed spirits out from multiple portals in multiple directions, all at once, to the point that they start to build up heat and emit light as he shoots them. And I'm not talking like one or two at a time. He's firing dozens and dozens of these out of multiple portals at the same time. Now, at the end of the day, these don't really hit Toji at all, and we actually got a small precursor to this when he tried to shoot Toji with this about 3 or 4 times when they were actually talking earlier. But this full-on ability, this one that basically turns him into a one-man anti-aircraft station, looks amazing. I think it's pretty fair to say we could interpret this as an early application of his maximum, and perhaps this is where he maybe developed into Whirlwind or Maximum Uzumaki. But the sheer volume of this, and the directions, and the finality of it, really leads me to believe that this is almost an all-new ability. It might very well lead to his maximum, but this is basically a separate power categorization. He's turning his cursed spirits into ammunition for a cursed machine gun, basically. And that's really impressive. We don't see anything like this in the manga. It's anime only, but I don't see why it couldn't work in the manga. It just looks fantastic. It may not end up helping him against Toji that much, but I feel like we should applaud this innovation, and it was certainly very cool to see. As for why it's a big deal, I could see them doing this with other characters throughout the series too. I mean, Geto was primed for some forms of expansion. I mean, even in his younger state, we knew he was one of the strongest, so he was probably going to get a little bit more attention. But I mean, this kind of expansion that works really well within the world of JJK and looks really good is certainly something I think we could see more of in the future. But why don't you let me know what you think of it down in the comments below.